Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the past 6 years, you might say we've been living in interesting times. The long-expected economic recovery continues to be just over the horizon, and the uncertainty caused by the Obama administration's excessive regulation and uneven application of the law continues to suppress economic activity. As a result, our state budget is necessarily tight. That should be no surprise. Of course, those living in Pennsylvania working to take care of themselves and their families also face tight budgets. Many a Pennsylvania family sits around their kitchen table working on their personal budgets, taking care that their expenses do not exceed their revenues. Sometimes that requires making tough choices. Sometimes that requires that wants be deferred. And if the people paying the taxes are willing to do that and are required to do that, perhaps we should be willing to do so as well. This budget is not perfect, but it does meet our real needs, and it does so without further growing government beyond our means to pay for it. There are two specific areas I would like to address quickly. The first is education spending. We've just heard about that. First, I want to address the teachers that I represent. We know most of you are doing a very good job, sometimes in very difficult circumstances. Most of our children are learning and doing well, but we must do more. And in these times, these economic times, we have to do more sometimes with less. Unfortunately, the truth about education funding is too often obscured by misinformation and deceit. It is so easy to say that our schools are underfunded. The facts, however, show that the amount to be paid in this budget by the people of Pennsylvania for public education will exceed $10.6 billion, more state dollars than we have ever paid in education spending. It is certain that more work remains to be done. We must address the pension crisis in a straightforward manner. We must give our school boards more flexibility to manage their schools, and we must protect our best teachers to ensure that the children receive the best education they can get. The second area I want to address is public welfare spending. We spend a total this year of $11.2 billion on public welfare, 38% of our entire budget. One particular line item, line 371, the medical assistance capitation line, is in excess of $4 billion by itself. If we are to seriously address spending, we must focus here. Right now, the Commonwealth purchases an insurance policy for every person receiving medical assistance, which costs around $7,000 per person per year. The cost for similar policies in other states average around $5,000 per person per year. Simple math will show that 2.2 million or so folks receiving medical assistance in Pennsylvania times $2,000 saving will yield billions of dollars of savings every year. Starting now and years to come, we must drive our costs down to the average, and we can do so without denying essential services to anyone. And the guiding principle in reforming our welfare system going forward, we must encourage industry, encourage hard work, and discourage dependency. Finally, I support this budget because, unlike the minority party, we recognize the answer to every problem in government is not spend, 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 tax, 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 and borrow, borrow, borrow. This is a budget which reflects reality, which allows our people to keep more of their money. I want to close with a short quotation. Every dollar released from taxation that is spared or invested will help create a new job and a new salary. Now, if I was asked to ask you who that was, I would give you a clue. I would say it's a president of the United States. Many of you might guess President Ronald Reagan. Well, I will have a news for you. It's actually a Democrat. It's Democrat President John F. Kennedy. And how I long for the day when our friends across the aisle come to re-understand that simple truth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.